Come on and shine, shine, shine. Las Vegas, shine your light on me.
Welcome to Las Vegas Tonight. Join award-winning host Dale Davidson as he interviews the most remarkable people you'll find in the entertainment capital of the world. You'll meet entertainers, sports figures, newsmakers, community and business leaders, and people just like you with stories that'll touch your heart. Now, here's Dale Davidson.
Welcome to another edition of Las Vegas Tonight. I'm your host, Dale Davidson. Every week we bring you fascinating guests from the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. We've outdone ourselves this time. We're pleased to have with us Pastor Chris Chappell of Casa de Luz Ministry. He's got a great story. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it, Chris. We're friends, so we'll get that out of the way right away.
Yeah.
Everything's going well in your ministry, and your family's good?
Yeah, things are going well.
Oh,
no
good.
Complaints.
Good. Casa de Luz Ministry. Let's take it back, sort of start at the beginning in this first segment, and tell me about your childhood and your relationship with Christ, if you had one. Mm-hmm. And then I want to hear about you running for sheriff when you were 18 years old, which is a great story. Tell us a little bit about your childhood.
Well, I was born and raised in Las Vegas.
You're the one.
I'm the one. I'm 3 generations Las Vegas.
Wow, that never happens.
Yeah, and it doesn't get me anything.
Yeah,
there's no secret Vegas club or anything. So I was born and raised here. I actually grew up as an atheist.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't meet Jesus and fully surrender to Him until I was 27.
Wow.
So most of my adult...
That happens to a lot of us.
Yeah, it happens to a lot of us.
Yeah.
I was a, pretty cocky kid. Pretty arrogant. I thought I could do all things. My career goal when I was in high school was to be an attorney. I was going to be Steve Wynn's personal attorney.
Oh, there you go.
That's what I was shooting for.
You could have made some money doing that.
I could have made some money doing that. That's exactly what it was. I have a very good gift of debate. And so I thought, well, attorney would be a perfect thing.
That is. Yeah. What a fit. What a fit.
So in high school, I went to school in Boulder City, and my senior year in high school, for a government class, we had to work for a campaign. It was 94, and it was a campaign year.
Right.
And I had just turned 18, and I said, I'm not going to work for anybody. They're going to work for me. I'm 18. So I figured out, what can I run for as an 18-year-old that would include Boulder City?
Right.
Sheriff of Clark County.
Oh, that's terrific. I had no idea you could do that young.
I didn't know either. And all you needed is to be 18 and a $100 filing fee. So we had a bake sale up at the school, and I raised $100 that way. Put my name in the ballot, and away we went.
And after now 20 years of being sheriff, you lost. Yeah.
I lost, but I tell you what, I beat 4 people. And
Did you
and
really?
It was the era of Clinton, so I had all the Clinton things. I was biting my lip, and I did this. And we need to bring the youth together with the police, and I had all of it down, and it was really good.
That's great. And what did you learn from that, other than you didn't want to be a politician?
Actually, I learned I do, because I went to school at UNLV to be political science, and so that's my major. And someday, I think now that I'm on the right perspective, I think we need statesmen in this country, and at some point we'll see what God wants to do.
Boy, that's the truth. Well said. Let's talk a little bit about your conversion experience at age 27. How did you find Christ?
Well, I found Christ. He really found me. When I got married young, and we had 3 children, and all 3 of them had severe surgeries when they were 2 or 3 months old.
Oh, wow.
And so we were financially devastated, and I couldn't find employment. It was just a really hard time, and so God had to strip me of my pride and my ego and all those things, to where I would actually step foot into a church. My father-in-law had gotten saved a few months before I did.
Oh, really?
My wife did.
Wow.
And it was during the time that of the Lord of the Rings, the first one that came out.
Oh, yeah.
And the church that he was going to happened to do a series on Lord of the Rings, and he's like, "You got to show up." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. How can I just do this one time and then not have to hear it about it again?"
Mollify him, and
that's it. And so Lord of the Rings, I said, "Okay, I'll do it." And then I'm sitting there in church service. Whatever the pastor was saying, there were some things that were clicking. I'm going, "Oh, okay." And so then I made a deal with God. I said, "Listen, if you're real, then you need to hit every one of these points that I have against you," because I would war against them. Bible's a fairy tale, evolution, dinosaurs, all these things. And within a month and a half, he nailed every single one of them.
Wow.
To when I met
in your studies, you had
just around it. I would,
Wow.
you know, whatever it was, he would just hit everything. It was just a weird thing. And I remember sitting there in church, and they afterwards they do the altar call type thing, and I remember saying to God, I say, okay, the truth is here, you win, I lose. And it was like a moment of defeat because I had fought him for so many years.
Yeah.
To where it's like, okay, I surrender. And when an atheist becomes a Christian, it's like for real. It's not like play church or anything.
Right.
It's a real thing.
Yeah, it convinces you, and if you can be convinced, you know, anybody can.
Yeah.
When you're atheistic or agnostic, but it also, a lot of atheists turn out to be, you know, real soldiers for Christ,
Yeah.
which you have done. Casa de Luz, what made you decide to do that? You were in business for a while and pretty successful. Why did you leave the business world and decide, I want to go down in sort of the worst part of Las Vegas and try to turn that community around with a church?
Yeah, I can honestly say it wasn't a grand master plan or anything like that, except the master's plan, because
Yeah.
I was a health insurance broker for 10 years and did a lot of traveling, had large clients and all that stuff, but God, when God woke me up and said, no, this is what you do, I told him, I gave him a blank check, and I said, you know, God, I'm sold out and abandoned for you and your purposes. Whatever you want, I say yes to. And that's like giving God the blank check. And so he started us in ministry in Mexico, where we would go in the red light districts in Tijuana and stuff like that. And what I noticed when we led groups into the mission field, it wasn't the natives that got touched. It was the people on the group that were Christian that actually heard God for the first time.
Wow.
They actually had to rely on him. So what we wanted to do was to take that missionary field and bring it to Las Vegas. And the way we imagined it was that we would just go around and do outreaches. And we did outreaches in various areas.
Yeah, I saw some of those.
You saw some
on,
of them.
yeah.
We'd have a lot of people show up and
Yeah.
you're going, wow, this is
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
Yeah, had a flatbed and you had
had a
music and you know you would feed them and it was great.
Yeah, yeah. And so we took that mentality of my job is to get the Christian out of their comfort zone so that they experience God on the front lines of battle, and then they can take that experience with them wherever they live. It's the reality that he is who he is.
Oh yeah.
And that he's not just a concept, but he's a person. The truth isn't an argument point or a piece of knowledge. It's an actual person.
Oh yeah.
And that's really how we got started. And you know, God led us to different neighborhoods, and then eventually he planted us at Casa in the Naked City. And it's something we kept telling him, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. Close this door. If it's not
That's
for you.
right. This is going to be too hard.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about those early years, and then right up to the present in just a couple of minutes. We need to take a brief break. We'll be back with more on Las Vegas Tonight with Pastor Chris Chappell right after this.
A potential audience of more than 50 million people is reached every week by Las Vegas Tonight. To keep the important message of Christ's love on the air, we need your prayers and financial blessings. Please send your tax-deductible gift to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. For a donation of $25 or more, we'll send you a copy of Dale Davidson's new book, Las Vegas Tonight, From Sin City to Vegas Saints. You'll love these inspiring stories of Las Vegas Christians who are changing the world. Or donate to the ministry, or order Dale's book by going to vegassaints.org. That's vegassaints.org. Or call us today at 702-480-3989. That's 480-3989. God bless you.
And welcome back to Las Vegas Tonight. I'm your host, Dale Davidson. We're very pleased to have with us Pastor Chris Chappell of Casa de Luz, a church that is changing this city. Thanks for joining us once again.
Thanks for having me.
Describe the Naked City, which is the area that Casa de Luz serves, before you got there, and contrast it with today.
Well, we moved in the neighborhood about 4.5 years ago, and when we moved in, it was the highest crime rate in Las Vegas.
Wow.
And the street we're on, it was crack alley.
Yeah.
During the middle of the day, you'd have about 20, 25 drug dealers slinging dope to all the taxi drivers, bringing the tourists down, and It was just it was a really dark area, and being that I'm from Vegas, that was the area people told you don't go down to Naked City.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's where God put us.
Yeah, the police didn't like to go in
No,
Naked
they didn't
City.
like to go there.
Yeah, and I read somewhere that they used to get like 200 radio calls. Metro Police did.
Yeah.
And now it's down to.
Well, what it's down to is I give you percentages because according to Metro, the narcotics rate dropped 81%,
Wow.
violent crime 64%, and the homicide rate's been cut in half, and property crimes have been down 40%
Wow.
since we moved into that area.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, you'll be hard pressed to find a drug dealer now.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. That's wonderful, Chris. Tell us what your vision was. Did you have a 5-year plan? Did you say in 5 years we want to have this? We want to rehab this building. Did you just let the master bring you the plan?
Well, when he kept pushing this on us, we kept saying no, and eventually we finally said, okay, it's yours. And if it's yours, then we're going to seek your kingdom and your righteousness, which he tells us to do in Matthew. And we really let him dictate everything. Even from by faith, he pays all the bills every single month. By faith, he brings people in, and by faith, we are constantly rolling.
Tell me some of the things you're doing right now in ministry down there. It's pretty exciting. You've got something going on every day, don't you?
Yeah, pretty much every day.
Yeah. What's your outreach to the community?
One of our biggest outreaches is our food pantry, and we're one of the largest food pantries in Las Vegas. We pass out between 5,000 to 7,000 pounds of food a week to about 2,000 families per month. So we get a solid flow of folks that come on in. And it's a really intimate time. It's one of those times where we get to know people on a first name basis. We know how many kids they have. We know what their situations are because they trust us and they give us that information. And you know, we just our job is just to represent Christ's love to them. And that's it.
And services, you have several services a week.
Yeah.
You preach and your father-in-law preaches. Anybody else preach?
Yeah, we have another pastor. His name is Pastor Ryan Burrell, and he's a solid guy, and he's up there preaching with us as well.
That's wonderful. What kind of support are you getting, both from the government side, the political side, and from nonprofits and other churches in town? How's that working?
Well, we'll talk financially, and then I'll talk about favor, because I think they're two different resources.
Yeah.
Financially, the only monthly donations that we get from churches is 2 churches, and it's a total of $700 a month. Wow,
that's not a lot.
That's not a lot, and then we have 1 or 2 other donors that provide $500 each. So out of our entire budget, we only know that we're going to get about $1,500 a month. That's it, and it takes a whole lot more than that. And that's where our deal with God is to, hey, we're going to do the work. You have to provide. And He does.
Yeah. Any government subsidies or any help from the government? Because you're obviously solving problems that the welfare system and the legal system had to deal with before you got there. Are you getting any kind of support there?
Not on a financial end, but more. That's where favor comes in, and it's different. We work hand in hand with the city of Las Vegas, with some local and regional politicians here who have seen what's going on, and of course they love anything that's going to change the community and all that stuff. So we have a lot of political favor. Will at some point that turn into a financial? Who knows? But it's the political side that we actually seek, because when people come to us and they're in a crisis moment, we're there to address the crisis, and regardless of what it is, even if it's not within our realm of expertise, we have a network of people that we can go to, make phone calls, cut the bureaucratic red tape, and just go to the right person and say, hey, this is a legit need. We need this. We need to help this family. And so that's how on a political side and government and big nonprofit side, that's how we operate.
That's the way you intervene. Yeah, that's impressive. Now talk to me a little bit about the transformation of that building. Yeah. Because as you know, I was down there early. We have footage of what it looked like, and I think it was on your website that said you were one violation from being condemned and knocked down. You know. Now it's a beautiful building, and your father-in-law and his wife live in a really nice suite on site. How did that happen with $1,500 a month coming in?
Well, what happened, that's where honestly, that's where political favor comes from, because we operated for probably 4 years, and the building should have been condemned. half of it you couldn't use because the roof leaked too much, and there's just
Wow.
a lot of we made do with what we had. We felt we were definitely third world country down there.
Yeah,
so
it looked like it. It really did.
But it's cool because that brings a level of humility, and you make do with what you have. And I wish the church would make do with what they had, and then we wouldn't be out, in debt and all that stuff. But what happened was a local businessman in town had always been watching what we've been doing, and he just loves what we're doing, and he's Christian. He found out that the property that we were renting, because we were still renting the property,
Right.
Went into foreclosure, went into default,
Right.
and the bank was about to kick us out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it happened to be the bank that he banks at, and he's a very large businessman, and
Yeah.
he said, I'm going to buy this building for you, and he did, and he donated it back to us.
Wow.
At the same time, a large philanthropy group here in town, it's made up of a lot of the top philanthropic families here, picked Casa de Luz, unbeknownst to us, picked Casa de Luz as their beneficiary, their project where these families can come together and work together on a project that's neutral instead of out of their own special interest. It's a neutral one. And so they picked Casa, and they came down, and some of these power brokers were crying. They came together and they said, we want to give you a new building. And so it's been phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a great looking building. We're going to have to take another brief break and come back. I want to talk to you about the future.
Okay.
What's CASA going to do? And I think people are really going to be interested in what you have to say. We're going to be back with more on Las Vegas Tonight right after this. Hello, I'm Dale Davidson. I hope you're enjoying Las Vegas Tonight. The guests we've had on the program are wonderful examples of Christians who take seriously Christ's command to love one another. In addition to the hundreds of television stations across the United States now carrying our show, we have been presented with the outstanding opportunity to bring these inspiring stories to people around the world. An international satellite network in the Russian and Ukrainian languages has asked us to provide them with episodes to be broadcast to millions. To make a gift to support this very special effort, please send your check or money order to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. To use your credit or debit card, call 702-480-3989. Thank you, and God bless you. Welcome back to Las Vegas Tonight. We're very pleased to have with us Pastor Chris Chappell of Casa de Luz Church in the Naked City in Las Vegas, and he's really doing a remarkable work down there. Speaking of which, tell us a story about somebody's transformation.
Yeah. One of the things when a drug dealer finds Jesus and they stop, typically there's no source of income for them. So after a couple weeks, what happens is the drug distributor calls them up and say, hey, how's that Bible paying your bills? And we would see people come back into standing on the street, and they're like, guys, I don't want to do this, but I have to feed my family.
Right.
Typically, there are folks that have drug convictions and felonies, which immediately eliminates them from most jobs.
Yeah.
And we had through the relationships of business, we had an employer on a couple blocks from us. It's a warehouse employer. And they came down, and the owner came down and did a dog and pony show with him to show him what CASA was about. And when we told him about the stories and he saw what was happening, he said, anybody that you refer to us, we'll hire on the spot, regardless on their background.
Really?
And so we had one in particular. He and his wife, and they have 6 kids.
Yeah.
And so he coming off meth. They found Jesus, and we said, okay, this is his shot. And he's been there for 4 years now, or 3.5, almost 4 years.
Yeah.
Now he's in upper management.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And he came about a year ago and said, hey, I have this benefit package of 401k. I don't know how to fill this out. Can you help me? So we helped them fill them out. Their family went on their first vacation this past summer, and they bought their first vehicle in 20 years, a few months ago, because somebody came alongside and said, well, we believe in you.
And you see this kind of thing all the time?
All the time.
Wow, that's wonderful. Let's talk about the future of Casa de Luz and what your vision is. What do you want to do with the ministry? Where do you want to go?
Well, the way I look at it is, if we can do it, anybody can do it. And so I believe that we've worked on a really nice prototype, and everything. We've We've done everything wrong, and so we know how to do things right now.
Like our business, like any business.
Like any business.
Get back up again.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I believe one of the heartbeat calls that Jesus has to his church is to actually transform the community around them. I think it's an abnormality that you have these massive churches on a street corner, and yet the crime rate hasn't been affected. That's just not right.
Yeah.
So what God has kind of given us is kind of a leapfrog mentality, where in World War II, in the Pacific Islands, MacArthur said, we're going to jump from one island, jump above another one to get to a strategic location. It was a leapfrog strategy,
right,
in order to get close to Japan without having to go through all the thousands of islands there.
Yeah.
And so that's what I believe God's kind of calling us to, is we want multiple Casa de Luzes all throughout Las Vegas, but also throughout every city.
Wow.
Because the inner city, when the economy collapsed, the inner city went out to the suburbs. And so it's not, the line is very blurred nowadays. And so I think there's a need for what we offer. There's a need because it's Jesus. And I've noticed the world doesn't really hate Jesus. They just don't like the message the church has been talking to them. But when you bring ultimately the true authentic love of Christ, that's what transforms people.
Yeah.
That's when they turn away from things.
Tell us what you say to somebody, a drug dealer or a homeless person or somebody with serious problems comes wandering in to get food, or they just want to see what's going on. What kind of witnessing do you do to them, with them to bring them to Christ? I'm really interested in that.
Well, what we tell people who come down is that your job today is to find somebody with a first name. That means you have to talk to them. It's relational. I mean, if we came down just forcing something upon somebody or just quoting things, that means nothing to a spiritually dead person. We're speaking spiritual life, but they're not receiving it.
Yeah.
They'll receive it from you when it becomes relational. When they see that you actually care about them, when you're invested in their lives and in their community, they know that you're not going anywhere. Now you become a safe place where people will come in with their struggles that they're not going to share with their friends on the street because that looks weak.
Yeah.
But they'll share with you, and then you minister to them through love, through the Holy Spirit, through that situation, whatever it is, because each person's different.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's a great testimony yourself and what works. Let's talk about how you can be helped. Send money. Let's start with that. How else can people in Las Vegas and across the country and around the world who will see this program, how can they assist you in your ministry? Honestly,
it's prayer.
Yeah.
It's prayer. We deal with a lot of dark things down there, and we need prayer on that. And of course, finances would be great, but really, it's if anybody's around, come on down and volunteer.
Yeah.
Come on down and help out and plug in. There's so many different facets of the ministry that we didn't talk about, like the youth and like different, just a whole bunch of things. So
yeah, the Outreach program.
The
I think
Outreach
is
program,
terrific. Yeah,
it's phenomenal. And so whatever
Kids
it is,
realize they have skills they never knew. Yeah.
ever knew. Yeah. So mentor for youth, tutoring for youth. There's just a lot of stuff that the neighborhood's in need, and so we as a church can step up and fill that void.
And we hope people out there will. How can they reach you?
They can reach us on our website, which is casadeluzlasvegas.org. You can reach out via email on the website or PayPal on the website.
Yeah, PayPal. We're always asking for money in ministry.
Mm-hmm.
We do it here on the station. But the fact of the matter is, it's the fuel, and the Lord approves of that, I think.
Absolutely.
And when you see the ministry that this man and his wife Laura and his father-in-law Dan and the entire team at Casa de Luz is doing to change a really tough neighborhood in this town, you're going to want to help, and I pray that you will. I pray that you will help. Chris Chappell, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you.
God bless you.
God bless you.
We'll be back with more on Las Vegas Tonight right after this.
Drawn by the lights, glamour, and opportunities in Sin City, they come from all over the world, searching for their chance to be a pretty woman, a success, or maybe just to have a better life. Be somebody. What happened after they got here is literally changing the world. From the story of Tommy Scott, a former gang enforcer turned Christian evangelist, to the Hookers for Jesus Outreach Ministry, to the heart-wrenching story of Arturo Martinez and his heroic act of forgiving the man who assaulted and murdered his wife and 10-year-old daughter. Las Vegas Tonight presents an extraordinary depiction of Las Vegas as a city of transformation, from Sin City to Vegas Saints. Las Vegas Tonight, from Sin City to Vegas Saints, a collection of true stories of transformation, people whose lives were transformed, and people who are now transforming the world. You've been watching Las Vegas Tonight with Dale Davidson. Send your tax-deductible gifts to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. Or call 702-480-3989. Thanks for watching.